Hello and welcome to the creaking salt-soaked tables of the Brazen Hydra and Bilgewater. We're your hosts, and Groven,
Conquest,
and today we'll be sharing a pint and talking all things Runeterra and beyond. So obviously, if we're talking here, and we're hosting from the Brazen Hydra and Bilgewater, we're obviously pretty excited about the Riot MMO.
Yeah, to say the least. I think it's a lot of people's most anticipated MMO right now because, it's pretty rare to see a new up and coming one outside of Amazon, at least. So, pretty exciting stuff worth talking about, I'd say.
Yeah, Amazon's got New World's popping off right now a little bit.
Is it really?
Yeah, I don't know why.
It must be like, I know they're still updating it. Like, it's still a live service ongoing with new content and stuff. But I've seen absolutely nothing about it since like the first 2 weeks of that game.
Mm-hmm. The reason I never got into New World is because I'm a big guy on the lore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we both played World of Warcraft.
Oh yeah, and we both read extensively on WoW.
Yeah.
Both read a lot of novels and chronicles, and oh god, the world's so good in WoW. That universe is great. I just don't like the most recent writing, but the universe is still so good.
Yeah, you can't. In terms of Azeroth, I knew everything about World of Warcraft. Like, in terms of lore, I was definitely on the more I know stuff kind of side.
Yeah,
And I feel like that's what initially drew me to the world of Runeterra.
mm-hmm.
Is that it's the whole world. uh, we- If you look at my most recent video, it's not really the whole world, but the world that we see right now,
Mm-hmm.
it's so extensive and like deep. And then that's what kind of drew me in and said, okay, this could actually be an MMO that I'd want to invest in. I feel like New World just came out and it's like, it's more about gameplay than story.
Yeah.
But Runeterra, I hope that they make it where the world is the focus.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think even like what makes me very like reminiscent over old WoW is that clearly in Runeterra the focus is not just like 5 characters like how WoW has been doing in the past like few years. You can tell that every zone is going to have its own major characters, and a lot of characters are not even going to know about like anything about each other outside of those zones. They're all very much in their own little realms and doing their own thing. And I think that's really, really cool. And that's something I miss about a lot of old MMOs compared to now, where MMOs nowadays are very story driven, because I think most people want a single player experience out of MMOs, which is honestly something I don't understand. I've always been, I want MMOs to be community driven. I think that's what MMOs are like made to be. If I want to play a single player game, I'm going to play a single player game. But that's just me. But I feel like just looking at the world of Runeterra, I hope that they're setting things up for it to be a whole world with all these different moving parts and people to meet.
That's why classic hardcore got so popular, was because it was an MMO again where people kind of had to work together,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Oh,
You're
yeah.
going out on a quest, you're joining groups,
Mhm.
you're doing anything in the world. Okay, you need to work together.
Mhm.
Compared to, like, if you log on to WoW now, you don't really have to work together. And this isn't a WoW podcast. I want to stay focused on Runeterra, but mostly we're talking about the Riot MMO, and the reason I'm bringing all this stuff up is because I want to talk about what we want to see and what we don't want to see in the Riot MMO.
Mhm.
Like, in terms of how you want the game to be played, like what can they do to make it say the world is the focus and not the player? Because I don't want to be a champion. Like, I don't want to be the hero of the story. Like, there's so many heroes in Runeterra. They have a huge cast list of heroes. I want to be like a part of it,
Mhm. I
not the
agree.
main character.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I just want to be a soldier of, the Noxus or Demacia or wherever the heck, whose goals happen to align with, whatever character we're meeting and talking to. And if that character needs to get something done, we're just there with them. But we are not the driving force behind gods dying and stuff like that. I think in MMOs, for some reason, if MMO goes on long enough, uh, writers will feel the need to constantly power scale the player character, to feel like we're progressing and getting stronger. When the truth is, honestly, am totally okay if there's just always some things that are out of my element. Like, what's his face? Big Star Dragon, Aurelion Soul.
Yeah.
We better never fight Aurelion Soul, like in the sense that the player kick his ass.
That's a great point.
I
Yeah.
never want that to happen. I don't care if the MMO is 50 years old and we have already cleared everything else in Runeterra. We
Yeah.
better not be that strong ever.
Yeah. I've said it before. Like we are literally less than the tip of Aurelion Sol's fingernail.
Hmm.
So we should never be able to even come close to Aurelion Sol.
Yeah, and I'm totally cool with that. If we are always just the human or Yordle, whatever the heck, we're just one dude or gal that is limited by our mortal bodies. We can only do so much. I will always be
Yeah.
cool with that because it gives that sense of scale to the world.
Man, that's so freaking true. Oh my god. Like okay, so even if we did, let's say that we go all out, there's like a void expansion. We're in the Freljord and we're journeying to the eye and the abyss and all this stuff, and we're about to fight monstrous creatures.
Mhm.
We should not be the ones fighting those beyond god level creatures,
Mhm.
right? That should be like the duty of someone else while we're handling, the freaking little guys.
Yeah.
Like we're helping, but we're not the main character. We're the soldiers. We're doing our part to help. Let's say Aurelion Sol is in the fight because he's not a huge fan of the Void either.
Mhm.
He's the one taking on the Void gods.
Yeah, yeah.
They're not us,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think
which are called the Watchers in Runeterra, by the way.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
But also, I think that even comes back to, I think the reason why me and you especially are so adamant about this is because it comes back to that sense of community. Because if you're just a soldier, then guess what? You're not going to be able to do a lot on your own. But if you're a whole, squadron of like 20 soldiers, 20
like
players,
a raid.
you can do, yeah,
Talk about a raid.
like a raid.
Mm-hmm.
Riot Games make cool raids, please. I like raiding.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like it's that sense of you can't do much by yourself. And I love when the story narrative of an MMO pushes that idea of, yeah, guess what? You're one dude. So you need other people if you want to be successful. That's just me. I know that's an out there take. We have a pretty out there take about MMOs in terms of how community driven things should be in terms of like what you can accomplish by yourself. Because for me, I'm like the bare minimum. You should be able to like do your professions.
Yeah,
You
that's
should be
that's a
able to like
solo
do some
activity. Yeah.
quests. And even if you do the quests, they should be dangerous by yourself. Like you can do the quests by yourself, but they're gonna take longer.
You're gonna have to do
Just
levels like easier quests. You can't do the like. There's a quest for a good item or a bag or something.
mhm.
That one you can't do unless you get a group.
Yeah,
But if
yeah.
you don't want to get a group, then yeah, you can go do these other quests that are not as hard but not as rewarding.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't even want to be told that. I
Yeah,
don't
me
want to.
too. I just want to find that out for myself. That's
Yeah,
why I'd be like, oh, I just have to go kill this one guy, huh? And then you read the quest and you're like, oh, he has like a whole gang of like, like thieves with him.
yeah.
And oh, this is like a level 12 quest, and all these enemies are going to be level 12. And like, I probably can't fight five guys at once. I see the problem now.
I don't even want it to recommend it, like to say like, oh, you need 4 people for this quest. Like,
Yeah.
let me go there and be like, damn, I can't do this. And then I look around, I'm like, there's a bunch of other people saying they can't do this. I'm like, hey, you want to group up so we can do this together? Because
Yeah,
it ain't
dude.
possible right now.
Absolutely. I think the biggest complaint about stuff like that is people saying, "Oh, I don't have like the time to be doing something like wasting my time like going over there to find out, oh, guess what? Yeah, I can't do this." But then I feel like people like don't think about, well, okay, what's worth your time then in an MMO, you know? Cuz I personally think if I'm in Runeterra and I'm in Shurima and there's
Shurima. Shurima.
Shurima.
I said Shurima for a long time. It's Shurima, and I got a lot of shit for that one. Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah. So
But it looks like Shurima to
It
me.
does. Yeah. I'm always gonna read Shudamon. That's
Yeah.
a problem. I'm gonna have to like mentally
Shurima.
train myself.
You gotta really pronounce it. I remember I said Ixtal too. It's Ishtal.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. People are very adamant about the names. Water.
But yeah, 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 yeah. We're alive in the Brazine Dragoon.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So yeah, let's say I'm questing out in Shurima, and I run over just to do some quests, and that exact thing happens to me. I'm now talking in group chat with these
Mm-hmm.
people to get this group together, and we do the quest. And that's literally the only thing I have time to do today. I literally only did one quest. Maybe it wasn't even worth that much. I didn't even get a cool reward out of it. I still think that's worth my time because
Hmm.
you get to have that experience of just talking to people and cooperating. People you never met before. You don't know where the heck they live. You know, they could be across the world. But guess what? You guys formed this little group. You're
Preach.
chatting it up. You accomplished something that was actually like, cool and like feasible, even if it doesn't work out. Literally, even if you wiped, you didn't even complete the quest. I still think that's worth my time because that was just a cool experience that I had that day in this MMO in Runeterra. And I'm like, oh, that's worth my time. I don't think like it's just like be, oh, I got this much gear today. I got this big number today. So that was worth my time.
You're
No.
prioritizing like what you're actually doing. Like it doesn't matter how much you got done, it's whether you liked it or not. But people
Yeah.
prioritize finishing.
Hmm.
So I mean, if there's a button right now, let's say the Riot MMO comes out and there's a button that you could press that you will reach end game with cap level gear and you're standing at the final boss.
Hmm.
Everyone's gonna push that button.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean the button should exist. And everyone would like you need to think about the whole experience and not about just finishing it.
Hmm.
Like that's why classic WoW, the end game, not that great. But
Hmm.
leveling is so good that people will play it because they're
Yeah.
not in pursuit of the end game. They're not
Hmm.
just trying to get to the end. It's about just playing the game.
Hmm.
And like saying that, yeah, I hate the whole thing about but people don't have time anymore. There's no time for that. Like, okay, but if you don't have time to play a video game, you just don't play that day. Like you can play another day. I've got a lot of stuff going on in my life, but I still find time to play.
Yeah, just because you enjoy it and you
Yeah.
know that with the time you have, you're going to get some enjoyment out of this community experience that is an MMORPG. I'm going to say thank God that classic WoW is a thing and coming out and doing well
Yeah.
because man, because everyone has eyes on WoW in general being a big MMO that it is
Oh, I'm sure the
that
Riot
belong.
team has eyes on that. They're
Exactly.
not I hope they
Exactly.
take what's good and leave what's not good.
Precisely. I hope they realize just how much value and longevity there is in an MMO that is centered around having to cooperate and work together to accomplish anything. Because, I mean, hey, the classic WoW is still holding strong with hardcore at this point in
Mm.
time that this is being recorded. And I'm sure IMO team is seeing this stuff and they're like, okay, people actually want a slow progression. There's an audience for that at least. Maybe not everyone, but there is an audience for that. There's a successful MMO that exists where people literally just run through a desert forever and kill scorpions, and they need to talk to people to accomplish that.
One other thing that I do want to talk about. So I really like that it's like prioritizing the experience and all that. But another thing that I think the reason we're saying I want to say all this is because there's mistakes that can't be fixed.
Hmm.
And so there's stuff that they need to prioritize at the beginning because once it's done, it's done. Like once you're the champion, you're the champion.
Oh yeah, you can't
It's
go
over.
back. Yeah, it'd be
And
stupid.
another thing that I always felt pretty adamant about, but I don't know if everyone cares as much about it, is I always felt like flying was a big mistake
Hmm.
in Warcraft. And that came out, that was they did that in Burning Crusade where flying
Yep.
started.
Hmm.
But there's something to be said about the like classic WoW feels first classic WoW is huge, but it also feels bigger because there is no flying.
Hmm.
Because you spend all the way up to level 40 just running around. Then at level 40 you get your base mount. Then
Yeah.
you don't get a fast mount until level 60.
Hmm.
And even that mount is not as fast as mounts today.
Oh yeah.
So it's like I I there's certain like if they add flying at the beginning of the Riot MMO, you can't take back flying. Like wow, what do they do every single time? They're like Pathfinder achievement, but it never feels good because all they're doing is taking something away from you and then giving it back to you later as a
Hmm.
reward. But you
Yep.
can't take something and give it back as a reward. Like a reward has to be something new.
Yeah.
I can't take all your gear and then just say go naked and then you get all this gear. Oh, but look, you're doing great.
A lot of MMOs do that. I'm gonna be honest. Like new expansion drops for any MMO, whether that's like Final Fantasy 14 or WoW or anything. Yeah, you're basically naked at that point. Your gear means
There's
nothing
got to be a
anymore.
better way to do it.
I know, right? I always think about that as like I don't know, like I'm no genius game developer, so I don't think I can come up with the endless like how to break out that endless treadmill feeling that is MMOs, that like a live service MMO.
Mhm.
Because I mean, okay, like let's say the Riot MMO is a big hit. The vanilla world, whatever that is, like the original world, leveling experience, everything's great. But guess what? Now everyone's cap level, everyone's done all the content. now what? You can't exactly, go back to level 1 and have a whole new leveling experience. So, like, you kind of feel stuck in that, okay, I guess here's 10 more levels and one new like island place you can go explore. Here's Ionia, but guess what? You're now spending the next 2 years only in Ionia compared to previously, where let's say that we'll start off with like Demacia, Noxus, Shurima, Ixtal, Piltover, and Zon. Say start off with all that
Yeah,
big, massive world to explore. Amazing leveling experience where you really get to take your
then just all
time and all this
gone.
stuff. Yeah, now guess what? It's all irrelevant. You're in Ionia now
No, they
forever.
can't do
Have
that.
fun. Yeah, right? It's such a big issue. And then it also comes down to like, well, do they have to revamp the whole world every time to make it interesting? And even then, it's like, is everything worth doing then? Because you're already capped level. It's going to be max like 10 new levels. And
Mm,
it's like, I don't know. That's a big problem with MMOs in general. I don't know if New World does it any differently because I know New World's very community driven in the
mm.
way it works. So I don't know if they still just like follow that expansion whole.
That I feel like there might so one thing that I always that is really cool about classic WoW is that you'll get gear from the first raid that's still relevant in the last raid.
Yeah.
Like this power spike isn't as
Hmm.
massive as it is like today, where the last raid's gear is trash by
Yeah.
the time you go into the next raid. That's big, and then there's different advantages that you have. So if you're farming out that first raid, you're getting like fire resistance gear, you
Hmm.
know, um, and so I feel like they could do something with that. I don't know. It'd be really hard to stay that creative and constantly come up with new things that you need gear for. But you get what I'm saying? Like if you
Yeah.
have a raid in Shurima,
Mhm.
you need this specific resistance or this specific bonus to be able to get help you get through the raid. Like you can do it, but it'll be much, much, much harder without this gear. Like
Mhm.
near impossible. But if you have this gear that gets you this special benefit in this area, and it can't be just like, oh, plus 10 to strength in Shurima. It needs to be something like environmental.
Mhm.
Is I think that'd be really like, okay, there's a raid in Zon. You can do the raid, but you're constantly going to have this debuff of smog that stacks every hour. And after 3 hours, you're going to be like taking a bunch of damage every tick because of just the smog that you toxic waste, you know?
Yeah.
Or you can rock this gear that has like this resistance to it.
Yeah. And stuff like that where it's like, even then, like I see what you mean. Like you want like horizontal progression
Yeah.
where like okay, like you don't have to complete like, these raids in this exact order. But each of these raids will give you something unique and cool for your character, whether that's like gear or cosmetics or whatever.
Hmm.
But then yeah, there's also like the thing of like,
How much
what's
can you go? Like Zon
yeah,
Raid
like
is an
the
easy
zombie.
one.
Yeah. But even
Okay.
then it's like, okay, like will that feel like it's
Demacia, you need sunglasses.
like in the case of like Zanra, you need like the specific thing to go down. I feel like that's something where it has to be done really right. It has to be done very precisely and smoothly without the player even noticing.
Yeah.
Because it could just feel like an annoying wall where it's like, oh my god, like I just want to go to Zon, dude. Why the heck is there this like stupid mechanic where I need to get this gear? What the hell? You know?
Yeah.
Stuff like that's always like, will it be like part of the world so smoothly that you just feel like, oh, of course I can't go into Zon yet. Like, I need to be ready for that. And
Yeah.
it's like, it's one of those things where I think it's a good solution. It just needs to be done really well.
Hmm.
That world really needs to feel alive. You really need to be immersed into it for it to work. For
Yeah.
horizontal progression, at least.
Horizontal progression is definitely much harder
Yeah, it is.
than vertical progression.
Oh yeah.
It's much harder to do.
Mhm.
And I don't even know if it'd be like I understand the whole vertical progression makes sense. Like, okay, we finish out Demacia and Noxus and Shurima and the superficial level of Piltover and Bilgewater. Those are the starting zones when the MMO comes out. Then Ionia comes out, and okay, we move over to that expansion. There has to be a way to pull it back where you still have the whole world to explore.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm down for like the patches during Vanilla WoW was the idea of like, okay, I know even that had like the issue where it's like everyone's in one zone basically. But
Mhm.
no, I think one of my favorite just MMO events in general ever was the Encourage, the Gates of Encourage event.
Yeah.
If you don't know what that is, it's basically like, okay, this zone in the like in the already established like world, this is like already a zone people go to all the time. It was normal, but now something happened in the zone. Um, you're both alliance and horde. You know, you're either an alliance player or a horde player. You have to pick a faction, and you have to fight over these resources in this zone. Everyone is killing these bugs that drop this loot that you need, this currency, and that's how, you know, like your guild or group people can eventually get like really cool mount, really cool rewards. So everyone is in this zone that's very community driven event. Everyone's fighting over resources and land because the land is where the enemies are that drop this stuff. So it just I feel like that's a really cool example of like the old world still existed. It was literally just a revamped zone in the old world. But even then, of course, there's still the issue of everyone's just in that one zone now.
Yeah, but it's
But
temporary.
it still felt alive. Yeah.
Yeah, that the world needs to feel alive and changing. One of the best things about that is that the world was changing. Like
Mhm.
it wasn't stagnant.
Yeah.
Stuff
I think
happened.
that's cool.
Maybe that's
Dude, maybe?
maybe
That's
that's
something
the
like
way. Like just okay, you release the world and then stuff happens in the world. But you need to feel like you're growing in power. That's the hardest thing with horizontal
absolutely.
progression is you need to still feel like you're getting stronger. That's why vertical progression is so much easier. You're
Yeah.
obviously getting stronger. Look at your level.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know a lot of people praise Guild Wars 2 for, I believe they have horizontal progression where you don't really like there's no like specific path you have to take in Guild Wars 2 to like achieve the goal of amazing gear. But I'm not sure exactly how they do it, but I know that's the number one thing everyone prays about. So I feel like I need to look into Guild Wars 2 more.
Mhm.
I'm very curious about that. And I'm sure the Riot team is looking into all these MMOs too.
Oh, we never talked about flying. I like carried the
Oh yeah,
conversation.
we did totally pivot.
So what do you think of what do you think about flying? Should it be
Okay.
included? Sure, should it be stayed away from forever?
Well, as someone who has talked about how much I love running through a desert and killing scorpions, I'm very much against flying.
I think it ruins
But I
the
think
you just fly over
you're never going
everything.
to see anyone. You don't see anyone when
That
you're
was one of the
flying.
main reasons why you don't see people anymore, just because you fly everywhere.
Yeah, and even then, I'm like already at that point. I mean, actually, I don't know. I did not play the Burning Crusade or anything like that, but like I don't know if you still needed to just like talk to the whoever's like next to you to get things done in Burning Crusade. But I feel like and definitely at this point in WoW, you have no reason to talk to random people. You're accomplishing everything yourself, and that's intentionally designed because people want that
Mhm.
in WoW. That's just the direction the game went in.
In Burning Crusade, you had to talk to people until the end. Once you got flying, like you just flew over everything. You don't have to talk to anyone anymore. You just fly wherever you want.
Yeah,
You know?
even for like quests, like I don't know if there were like difficult quests where like I mean no, I guess at that point if you have flying, like you're already
You're
done
already
with that
done with the
stuff.
questing, yeah.
So yeah, at that point it's just like you never have to see anyone ever again. Well, even in like I don't know, dude, like if you're running through the world you've already conquered and you see this dude struggling to kill a stinking quill boar, guess what? You're gonna get off your mic, you're gonna heal that man,
Yeah.
or you're gonna run in there, you're gonna help him out. And that's just a beautiful moment
But if you're
for both
flying
you
so
and that
high that they don't
character.
even
You're
see them.
suddenly, yeah, exactly. You know, if you're flying over, yeah, you're not looking down. You're sure as hell not looking at the Quillbore camp. But that little moments like that is what keeps people invested. Little moments like that is what's going to make me come back to that game the next day because I think of that time when oh, that dude saved me. Man, what a cool game! What a cool little world this is.
Yeah.
You know, that dude had no reason to save me. He's already done this whole zone. He's cap stinking level. He one shot that Quillbore. You know, he came to my rescue in this awesome little world of Runeterra, Warcraft, whatever you want to call it. That's what
World
MMO needs to be.
World of Runeterra.
World of Runeterra.
By the way, did you know that if you go to like so I'll type it in right now. If you go to worldofruneterra.com, it takes you to the Riot MMO website for we're making an MMO.
Oh yeah, yeah. So that's
I don't think
something to think about. But I personally don't think that's like the name they're going
I
to
don't think
decide
it's the
on. It
name
might
either.
just be like an in-house name right now that they're using. Because I feel like World of Runeterra is a little too on the nose.
Yeah, to World of Warcraft.
Yeah,
But it's not World of Azeroth, so
it's not it's true.
so it's different
True.
enough. But yeah, I mean they're freaking even they do like Project L, Project T, Project QZ, whatever. So they kind of always
Oh
change
yeah.
the name until it's finalized.
Oh,
Maybe they just
absolutely.
reserved it because it's there and they'd rather have it locked in.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. I mean, like, yeah, if they need to have a name, they can't come up with anything else. I think World of Runeterra is like fine. I don't think, like it's not a bad name by any means. It's just like nothing special either.
I almost just want to call it Runeterra. I almost just want to call it Runeterra.
Wow, just straight up Runeterra.
Yeah,
Honestly, I think that's cool.
I think that's enough. You just say
I actually
Runeterra.
like that.
I know. Everyone has to feel like they have to add something to it. You don't always have to add something. It can
Yeah,
just be
man.
Runeterra.
Yeah.
What are you playing today? Runeterra.
Dude, this is
Where
like
are you? Runeterra.
this is the
Where do you
first
want to be?
MMO where you're not just it's not like three words or anything, you know, like SWOTOR. This is so it was like Star
Yeah.
Wars, the Old Republic.
Star Wars. Oh, yeah.
Stuff like that. Or Lotro, Lord of the Rings Online, that
Yeah.
sort of thing. No, people just call it R.
Yeah. I think that's more than enough, in
Honestly,
my
I think
opinion.
so too. I was like, not enough people know about Runeterra right now to where like they would even like be like, oh, okay, they just named it after the world. It's like, whoa, what's Runeterra? That's a cool sounding word.
Yeah, I'm amazed at how little people know about the actual lore of Runeterra.
Dude, I'm gonna be honest. Before you started showing me this kind of stuff, I would have never guessed in a million years that a MOBA has this much lore. Why do they need an entire world when everyone's playing on a 3x3 grid?
Yeah, I really think it was
Wild.
unintentional. It was intentional and unintentional. I think
Mhm.
they saw what Blizzard did with Warcraft 1, Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3. Then they had Hearthstone. Then they had
Mhm.
World of Warcraft. And all they did really, and now they have another game that's like the toy one or whatever,
Oh,
mobile.
oh my God! Yeah, the new mobile game coming out. Is that Warcraft Rumble?
Yeah, Warcraft
That's what's
Rumble.
happening right now. Yeah.
All they really do is just say, if you're gonna make a game, use this IP. And then they started having the character backstories and they put them all in the world. And then after a while, this world got built out on its own. And then they probably had like, okay, now we need a dedicated lore team to build out this world that we're calling Runeterra.
Mhm.
You know, it's like it kind of happened naturally where they're just like, well, we want to make a game. This is the game that we want to make. We want to make a card game. Where should we do? Well, use this. Make sure you're using this IP. It has to be based around Runeterra. The cards have to
Yeah.
be based around our characters.
Yeah.
And then if you have enough games, now you have Riot Forge, which is just
Oh
make
yeah.
pumping out games, all freaking amazing so far.
Mhm.
Excited for Song of Nunu, which hasn't come out when we recorded this.
Oh yo,
Which are
very
just
excited.
they're like, okay, we want to make this kind of game. Well, it has to be set in this world, and then the
Mhm.
world gets built out on its own naturally.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, I think Yuri is a good point where it's like, why have a bunch of different, little IPs when you
Mhm.
can just have one massive IP where even like it doesn't matter if you're playing the card game Legends of Runeterra or you're playing League of Legends. Now you guys both know this IP, regardless of what you're playing, everyone knows these characters. They know these specific places. Honestly, I think it's a genius idea. It also just saves a lot of time of not having to rebuild the wheel every time they want to make a new game.
Yeah, characters are already there, story is already there,
Yeah, world's already
interactions.
there,
Yeah,
locations, everything's already set up, all the pieces are there, you just put them together however you like.
hmm I completely. So, what's the number one thing that you want to make sure, like that? Where do you want to take this conversation next?
Oh man, dude. Hmm. Oh god, thing is I could rant about sense of community in an MMO for legit like five
Let's talk about
hours.
sense of community. So, so when it comes to a community in MMO, how do they manage maintaining a community? And like, I hate freaking servers. So
Oh,
when
okay.
it comes to a community, I do feel like a server is the number one detriment to a community, and the number one. So
Really?
yeah, like when you start crossing servers over,
Oh yeah, yeah, no, I hate that.
yeah. At the same time, I understand you want to play with your friend,
Mhm.
right? But the second you start saying like whoever you're meeting with doesn't matter, then the community is gone. Like you want to be able to quest with that guy, and then you're running around Orgrimmar. Not you're running around in the world. Let's say that you quest with someone in Shurima.
Mhm.
We keep going back to Shurima. We need to pick somewhere else.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
And like
say
Steam is like the perfect place where it's like, oh, it'd probably be like an early level zone. It's
yeah,
not like like insane like Shadow Isles or
yeah. You're not gonna
Bilgewater.
be running around the Freljord.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. Like you're probably running around Shadima. Probably questing in
probably just running around the desert, man. So
there.
let's say
Seriously.
you're running around the desert. You
Yeah.
quest with someone in Shurima, right? You do a quest or whatever. You want to eventually go to an oasis hub. You're not grouped up. You're not talking or anything. And there's your boy
Mhm.
just sitting there shopping around, selling his goods. You need that. Like it has to be where it's not, it doesn't have to always be forced. The second you take away the meaning behind meeting people where I'm never going to see this person again, it completely degrades the community. I understand sharding helps a lot with server load and all this stuff. But if you're going to shard, it has to be maybe at most three servers combined or something like that. Even then, I'm not a fan. Like if you can manage it where it's just one server, and I understand also that okay, if the server gets full, what are you gonna do? He wants to play with his friend who's on that server.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, like I don't have the best answer for that. Maybe his friend has to transfer off or something, but you
Yeah,
can't risk the whole community for that one interaction.
yeah.
And I know servers have a cap, and you can't have just freaking everyone playing the game in the same spot all at the same time.
Mhm.
Game will crash. You can't do
Yeah.
that. But sharding is not the answer, and it even sounds like a bad word, like shard. Like it sounds like trash because it is trash, and it degrades the community. Like servers are the number one thing that I think I said it wrong. I said they're the number one thing that can save. They're the most important thing for a community is the server.
Yeah, yeah, a server is a foundation for the community to be built upon. Definitely. I think it's a like pick your poison situation, but at the same time, it's not even a question for me. I will pick individual servers over like shared servers anytime, like crossing servers. And like you said, you also like when you're interacting with those players, you're gonna see them again. That means guess what? You have a reputation on that server. So if you're in that dungeon and you grab that piece of loot, you grab that gear,
Did you open the
really
chest
good.
before we rolled?
Yeah, yeah. Guess what?
Wow.
Yeah, you just leave that group, you just disappear, run
All
away
that for some
with
linen
that free
cloth.
loot. Yeah, guess what, dude? You're gonna see those people again. And guess what? They've been talking about you to everyone else on the server. Next time you're in a dungeon, you better believe they're not counting your role. So like I love that because guess what? Now the Riot team, they don't need like crazy amount of like game moderators to make sure that
We
things are
moderate
fair. And
ourselves.
yeah, 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 like you don't need any like special mechanics in the game. Oh, here's individual loot, so now that doesn't happen. No, 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 let the community handle it. Let us fight amongst ourselves like ravaged wolves, all right?
Mhm. Exactly.
Because that, guess what, that creates cool moments.
Yeah, you
That's all
nick
you
your
need.
loot one time in a raid. No one's gonna invite you ever again. Everyone's gonna know your
Yeah,
whole raid.
yeah,
Freaking all 40 people are gonna be in Orgrimmar talking shit
yeah.
about you. There's no way not everyone is gonna know. Like right now, you could absolutely do whatever the heck you want, and wow, no
Mhm.
one's gonna say any. Even if they say something, who cares? Like,
Yeah,
there's no
no.
way everyone's gonna find out about it.
Yeah, because guess what? They're already in phase 4 of this realm that's merged with this realm, and you're on this realm merged with this realm on phase 3. They're never gonna find you. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter. You're never gonna see those people again in your life, and they're gonna have no one to tell about you. So letting the community handle itself in some cases, not in all cases, obviously, but I feel like in the case of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
loot, obviously, like yeah, I think being able to screw each other over is honestly important, and being able to have that sense of community where you can do something about it, and that's uh, there are times where just let the community interact with each other, whether it's positive or negative. Got to take it all, take all those experiences in, and let
Uh,
it happen.
yeah, exactly. That a community will moderate itself, and I also think that um, there's one problem that I wanted this. I actually was thinking that maybe that solves it, but it really doesn't.
Hmm.
You can have the best community in the world, but if like the economy of the server
Mm.
is not fortified,
Mhm.
it's gonna destroy the game. Even just as important as the community, I feel like bots, man. You
Oh
have to
yeah.
handle bots. Like
Oh
you
my
cannot
god,
have the problems that Blizzard are having when it comes to bots because it completely degrades away any value. The
dude.
end of the day, the money that you're making, that you're spending in the game, it's important. Especially like, let's say you're working hard, you're creating all these potions for your guild,
Mhm.
and you put them in the bank. Like that's a pretty cool thing to do. Like, wow,
Yeah.
I don't have time to raid with my guild. I mostly do quests. I'm a solo player. I don't have time to raid on the weekends,
Mhm.
but I'm the guild's alchemist.
Yeah.
That's a cool thing. Like, what do you? I make sure I get all the herbs together. I farm it. My guild pays me for that service, right?
Yeah.
The second you degrade the value of gold, that interaction is gone.
Oh,
Because
so many
why are they going to
interactions are
care about
gone.
you when everything is devalued on the market?
Yeah.
They could buy potions for nothing because there's just a bunch of bot farmers running around herbing
Yeah.
and making an infinite gold loop.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
degrade everything.
Mhm.
Everything gets degraded because of bots.
Oh, yeah.
Like it destroys the community, it destroys the economy, and it'll destroy the game. No matter how much financial incentive you might have to keep bots around,
Mhm.
because they're technically paying a WoW sub, technically paying a subscription fee if they have that, it's not worth it.
Mhm. I was literally just gonna say that. I personally would not be surprised if that's like Blizzard just kind of keeps bots around because guess what? That's a lot of subscriptions they're paying. But I think I was gonna say that's the biggest difference. I hope just based on what I've seen between Riot and Blizzard
Mm,
is that Riot understands the importance of PR for the longevity of your games and your company. Please, Blizzard, please learn this lesson.
ah,
But Riot gets it that you need consistent quality in your games. You need some honest, systems that keep the players happy. Like for a fact that Project L is that the stick fighter that's coming out?
yep, yep.
Yeah, like, for a fact they're gonna have some really good anti cheat on that thing because Riot does not mess around with that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Because guess what? They want players to have a good experience, want players to have a good time so they can keep coming back. So like I believe that Riot will invest a lot in anti-botting and they won't tolerate that stuff even if it does make them, a dollar today, it'll make them $5 tomorrow to get rid of them.
Yep.
Because players are gonna stick around.
Yeah.
Even hardcore right now.
Riddled
Everyone's
with bots. It
yeah,
destroys the whole
dude.
economy. Like you can't even. What's the point of professions? Which professions are so
Oh, so
important in classic WoW?
oh, that's gonna be a whole separate
What the
shit.
heck's
Yeah.
the point
Yeah.
of professions when the whole economy is shot?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you going to work on making bags when there's a bot over there making thousands of bags a minute and just
Mm-hmm.
selling them on the auction house for half the value?
Yep.
It's not worth anything.
Yep, absolutely. Oh my god, dude, we could talk about professions for a whole nother like episode. Professions for an MMO are so insanely important. I really hope they do it right in the right MMO, whatever that may mean, whether that's their own way or like an already established way, like in WoW. I hope they do it right. But yeah, no, I mean, bots just so quickly kill that sense of community, and like we said, community keeps that game alive, keeps it strong, keeps it going, keeps you coming back.
It's the only thing. It's the more important than anything. More important, horizontal, vertical progression, whatever, man.
Hmm.
The community is the most important thing in MMO.
Hmm.
And if you sacrifice that, then you're gonna sacrifice the game.
Yeah,
Very
absolutely.
simple.
Even like, dude, I see on Reddit all the time or on like any social media, whenever you see people who have been playing an MMO, literally any MMO, if they've been playing it for like 10 years straight, and you ask them why they've been playing the same game for 10 years, they will say it's just because I'm in a good guild or
Hmm.
my friends play it and we all play together. That's how we meet up, it's how we chat. Like, dude, it goes beyond the game at that point. Is the reason why you come back is literally just for the people at that point. If you want a long-term player base that will play the same game for a decade, that's literally the only way you can do it. Because there's no way in heck you're gonna make enough like content or variety of content to keep them interested. You just gotta have that strong foundation and let people work off of it.
And then there's so another thing around community, right? One thing that I think classic WoW does have is that you join a community right off the bat.
Oh
And
yeah,
that's the
instantly.
Horde and Alliance. And
Yeah.
there you join a sub community in that group.
Mm-hmm.
If you're an orc, you're joining that community of orcs and trolls.
Mm-hmm.
If you're Tauren, you're joining,
Oh man,
that
dude,
Tauren
yeah.
community.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I think might be tough to do is how are they going to manage that where you feel a part of something right off the bat when you can't they don't want they said in the Riot MMO interview that they don't want to make players where the players can't play together. But if someone's from Demacia and someone's from Noxus, how are they going to play together?
Yeah, I know. And now at this point, I'm wondering if they're even gonna like do something like that where like you identify with a place, but then it's like, okay, then where do you start? Because where you start is always going to have some significance to your player, right?
Mhm.
It can't just be like, oh, you're in the Freljord.
And you want to satisfy that fantasy. Like someone wants to be a part of Ionia.
Oh yeah, they
You're going to
need
take
that.
that away by not letting them, like, I say that, oh, I'm from Ionia.
Dude, yeah. Oh my god. Once again, RP, literally that's gonna be its own thing.
Yeah.
That needs a whole hour of talking about. RP is so important. Like I never really got that into RP myself, but no, you need RP in an MMO. That's one of the biggest things about an MMO is that you have that server set up, you have that whole world, you can make your own character, and you can interact with other people's like originally created characters. Oh, you better believe RP is gonna be a thing in this game. It
Mm.
better be. I'm sure they know that already.
And
But
you're going to take away RP if you say that you can't start from Demacia or you can't start from Noxus. Like there's going to be people who want to be a part of Noxus, people that want to be a part of Demacia. So I feel like you have to allow for that. But then also, how do you need to make sure that those players are allowed to play together?
yeah, That's really difficult then. I definitely see what you mean. And honestly, like here's the thing. Like I already said earlier, like, oh, here's the expansion Ionia. I definitely think Ionia will not like will be an expansion because I feel like Ionia deserves that kind of attention
Hmm.
as a zone.
I agree.
That it deserves expansion level attention. But then guess what? People are not gonna be able to start from Ionia. And
Yeah.
I feel like people would be really mad about that. But then yeah, you're right. And then it's like, how are they gonna interact with each other if you're Noxus Demacia, especially? Because Noxus Demacia makes the most sense in terms of starting zones.
So here's what I came up with. This is my solution to this problem. Okay.
Mhm.
So instead of having you start at Noxus, you start at Demacia, which you do. You're from Demacia, sure. But there's a whole separate system of like um not really guilds, but you know how in Legion how you had class
That's what
order
I was
halls?
thinking. Yeah, where Horde and
Almost like
Alliance can
order
come together for
halls.
that order hall. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
order halls where it's like, yeah, you don't really like people from Noxus, but you're working with them uh in like a
Yeah.
truce to achieve this end.
Yeah, some like adventurers guild type
Yeah.
thing.
And
Yeah.
that's how you can have that where everyone's kind of working together. And then you can add that's a whole nother layer of community.
Hmm.
So now you're gaining a whole nother layer of community, something that you're feeling like you're unique, your character's unique, you're a part of something.
Hmm.
And then also that you can now play with your buddies,
Yeah.
despite you being from Demacia and him being from Noxus.
Yeah, dude. I like that actually. I'm into that.
And then
Does
yeah,
that also mean that if you're a Demacian and you walk into a Noxus city, are you expecting to be able to walk in and do stuff?
I don't think that should be allowed.
I hope that's not allowed.
Yeah, I
Dude,
don't think that
I
should be
love
allowed. If you want to walk through Noxus,
yeah.
you'd have to create a character from Noxus.
I love that. I honestly, I
Like,
like some people are gonna hate that, but I
no,
would
why?
love
You
that
can't
so
walk.
much.
You're a human. How you gonna walk through Orgrimmar?
Yeah, exactly.
How you
But
gonna
I
walk through
love that
Thunderbluff?
because guess
Yeah.
what? You picked your faction, you picked your team, you picked your community. You know, and like even the other team is still part of your community, just in a different way. They're
Mm.
still going to interact with you, but they're going to interact with you by like burying a sword into like your skull.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and I love that.
You can't be a
You're not
froggy
allowed to die,
barbarian.
dude. They're gonna kill you.
Yeah, no, you shouldn't. Like,
I think that's so cool. Like
th-
that's so world building. You
there's
know?
there's gonna be places where everyone can interact together, like Bilgewater. Bilgewater don't care if you're
Yeah,
from
yeah.
Demacia, Noxus, Shadima, Targon, don't matter. You're in
Mhm.
Bilgewater. Shadow Isles, they kill indiscriminately. You could be from anywhere and they'll attack you. Same with
Yeah.
Urkathia and the Void. But yeah, there's certain places that you chose to be a part of Demacia. No, you can't go to Noxus.
Yeah.
Okay, you can't walk into Frostguard Citadel in the Freljord.
Mm-hmm. Dude, I can totally envision it where you are like in like the outlands of Noxus, like the outer like grasslands,
Hmm.
and you see Noxus off in the distance as a Demacian. You're like, whoa, I can't go there. I can't imagine what's in there.
No,
Oh, that's crazy. There's other players in there, like doing their own thing completely separate from me. I don't know, dude. I always get into my own head in MMOs. I get into
yeah,
my own head of like how cool the world is and then just how alive it feels. And that's one of those things that would make me feel like, wow, this is a legit world.
the world's cooler when you can't explore all of it.
Yeah, dude, seriously. When you just leave it to your imagination, like maybe one day in the future when you're bored, you're making a Noxus character just to check it out. But until then, your main, when the MMO first drops, you're gonna look at Noxus, you're gonna be like, whoa, dude,
Yeah,
that's the other place.
there's
That's the
gonna be
place they
that
don't
guy.
talk about.
Yeah, there's gonna be that guy that just plays for Demacia and says, "I've never been to Noxus. I haven't played
That's
this
like
game
gonna
for
be
10
those
years."
people. Same with Noxians.
But
It's gonna be the Noxus guy who only makes Noxus
yeah,
characters. Never gonna see Demacia unless he's raiding it. We better be able to raid cities.
yep, yeah,
Oh, we better be able to raid cities. God, world PvP.
yeah, yeah. World PvP will have to be a thing too.
That's another thing where we are definitely in the minority, by the way. People hate world PvP in most
Oh,
games.
you gotta be able to
But you
opt in
need
and
it.
out.
I agree. Yeah, you need to be able to opt in and out. I don't know if they're going to PvP servers or if they're going to do opt in, opt out. I think PvP servers, for me personally, I prefer a PvP server just because I like the feeling of you're committed now. Guess what? This character's on a PvP
Yeah, you
server.
made that choice.
Yeah, yeah, you made that
You
choice.
can't cry about it.
Yeah, I like that compared to just turning it on or off. Because then also turning it on or off leaves the situation of like, okay, you're on this server, you turn PvP on. Does that mean you can see other players who have it turned off? Are you going to be in a separate phase? God forbid you're in a
I don't
separate
really
phase.
like that solution at
I don't
all.
like
I
that
don't like the
solution
turning on
either.
and off.
I like the idea of just you chose PvP server, you know what you're getting yourself into, and so does everyone else who opted into that PvP server. Be prepared to die.
Yeah,
Be prepared to get some cool wins and some very frustrating deaths because that's how World PvP works.
yeah. If you're in a city on a PvP server, you know everyone here is willing to die at that, like in the
Yeah.
game,
Yeah, you're
whatever. It's
fighting for
fine.
Noxus now, baby.
Yeah, yeah. And so if someone invades, like everyone's gonna be fighting.
Yeah.
But on a when you can opt in and out, like they're gonna invade and like half the people are gonna fight, and half the people are just be standing there.
Oh, I miss raiding cities. Dude, I miss, like obviously if you can't tell by now, me and Edgar have played a lot of WoW.
Yeah,
And boy oh boy, I play Horde, and do I love being in Stormwind. I
yeah.
think some of my best memories have taken place in Stormwind.
Yeah. I
I
literally, because
love
I
that
play a
city.
druid, so I would go feral druid and I would just run around.
Yeah.
If anyone's in combat or can be attacked, I would fight them in
Dude.
Stormwind. And then
Oh
I'd
my
go
god.
back and just run around for a while because I'm a druid. I'd just go swim through the water and get away. And then I go stealth again.
Just a little bit of trolling.
Yeah.
Yeah, because guess what, maybe you're on the PvP server. Or even just getting a big raid group together, getting like 40 players together, and just running through those big gates, knowing what you're about to get yourself into, and knowing that everyone on the other side has no idea what's about to happen to
Yep.
them. They don't know what's right outside their doors. If we can do that with Noxus and Demacia, the amount of joy that would bring me. Even if I'm a Demacian chilling, and guess what? Some 40 Noxus players come running in and absolutely slaughter me. They destroy me. There's nothing left of me. I'm gonna have a big smile on my face. I'm like, that's so cool. Oh my god, can I even play the game anymore? Am I just gonna have to log out now because they're just chilling here now and we can't fight back? I don't know why I love that kind of stuff. Maybe it's like the masochist in me when it comes to MMOs. I love that kind of stuff.
Because it's the only place that you can do it. Like
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
It's only MMOs are so special, man. Don't
that's
take
what
that
makes an
away.
MMO special. That's what makes it fun. Is like that unpredictability and that chaos. A little bit of
Yeah,
chaos, and it's all real players.
yeah. Oh my god, absolutely. And like most of the time, like like in the parallel with WoW, if that raid does happen, chances are, like the raid group is gonna eventually die out. Either guards are gonna like overwhelm them because they're gonna spawn forever, or better yet, what happens most of the time is that the enemy faction will regroup. Like they'll form a raid of their own to fight back and defend because guess what? All those poor guys in the auction house that barely play the game, now they have to actually do something. You force their hand.
Yep.
And guess what? That's probably one of the best experiences they'll have all week in that game.
That's something that they'll remember.
Yeah, it's something they'll remember. They'll remember the time where they pushed the horde out of Stormwind in a
Yeah.
complete community driven experience. And that's so special. Dude, please. Demacia Noxus, now I want that even more.
And
Now I hope
or
we're
there's
stuck
that
like that.
everywhere. There's Piltover and Zon. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can't be a Zonite and just start walking around Piltover. And you can't be a
Ooh.
Pilty just walking around Zon.
Do you think they'll do something like that? Like the what's it called? The Bloodsail Buccaneers
Maybe.
in WoW. I think that'd be cool if you have a like reputations. But problem is Zon is way more interesting than Piltover.
Yeah. Piltover Piltover gets slept on a little bit. There's definitely some depth there in Piltover. It's just not as
Not as much as
like there's depth in Demacia, but people prefer Noxus. There's
Hmm.
depth in Piltover, but people prefer the theme of Zon. Like people love
Yeah, Zon
Underdog,
is much more interesting.
and they
People
feel
love a
like
good
Piltover's
anti-hero.
the oppressive, like super top people, and we're like they're almost like stealing from the people of Zon, right?
Yeah.
Like from the poor, lower class. That's how
Hmm.
people like relate more to Zon because none of us are in the not 0.01%, right?
Hmm.
That's what Piltover feels like at times. So then the other problem, right? We were saying that the whole world, they're not going to include all of Runeterra at launch, and they
Hmm.
said in the Riot MMO interview with Necrit, they said we have a vision for the complete world of Runeterra, and it's just a matter of steps to get there, to get at the end goal of the complete world of Runeterra. They're not going to include all of it. So obviously, let's say that they don't include Ionia.
Hmm.
That's not going to be included at launch. How are you going to be able to RP that character from Ionia that's interacting with the rest of the world when Ionia isn't out yet, or Freljord or wherever? My solution was you have like a small little area, right? A small little outcrop in Ionia or a small little outcrop in the Freljord where people you start out there, you have your little like starting zone, then you move out to the rest of the world. Like look, if you look at the map, there's like Freljord, right?
Hmm.
You start off, let's say, a spirit walker, you train under Udir, then you immediately right after the starting zone move out into the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Ionia, you start out on your little island outcrop, you can start right there,
Hmm.
and then you move out to the rest of the world because technically Ionia isn't out yet. That
Yeah.
was my solution.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's a pretty likely solution. I think in that case, are we saying that what zone you start off in, is that completely your choice no matter what class you play, or is it class dependent, do you think?
Oh, I think there's gonna be class dependent classes where that
Mhm.
decides which zone you start in. Then there's also like the general. I mean,
Oh yeah, if you're like a
there's gonna be
warrior,
a
there's
warrior.
gonna be a warrior. There's gonna be like some kind of mage.
Yeah, a warrior with like a different kind of ability based on the zone that you're in. You know, if it's you're in Ionia, it's gonna be like maybe a spirit, more spirit realm ability type thing. If you're in Nox, it'd be like a down slam that you get, or an enrage.
Oh,
You
that's
know,
cool. I like that where it's like a racial ability
yeah,
like in WoW, but instead it's more like an origin ability.
yeah, like
Whenever like because I'm like I'm probably gonna play a Yordle no matter where I start off. Yeah, like well where I start off will depend on my starting core ability that I automatically get no matter what like I play. As long as
yeah.
I'm in Noxus, I'm gonna get that cool ability.
You're a
I
warrior
like
from
that.
Piltover, you get like a grenade or something. Who knows? You know,
Yeah.
that's something. To Bilge Water, you get like a random. You pull out a pistol and just shoot
Yeah.
one good shot.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, yeah. There's definitely going to be that, but then there's certain classes that are just they're not everywhere. You know,
Yeah.
if you're a monk, you're going to be from Ionia. Like you can't be a monk from Noxus. So there'll
Yeah,
be
yeah, that's
classes
fair.
that are zone specific, and there'll be classes that are uh, more generalized.
Yeah, I like that idea actually. I think that's cool.
So we could definitely go on for hours and hours talking about the Riot MMO, what we want to see, what we don't want to see. But we'll continue this conversation in the next episode right here in the Brazen Hydra pub of Bilgewater. You can find me at Engrove on socials and on YouTube and Conquest. Do you have any socials you want to throw out?
Not yet. I'll probably set up a Twitter and I'll have my own Reddit page at some point where I will post lots of funny random things.
And so we're going to be setting up a Q&A, story suggestions area. We'll let you know when those get set up. To stay up to date on the goings-on, make sure to follow at the Brazen Hydra or head to thebrazenhydra.com. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you in the next one.